At this height, breathing becomes more and more difficult. The normal senses of weight, distance, and time get bent. What seemed like an hour took only a few minutes. What seemed like the weight of an elephant was simply your normal backpack. What looked like a 10-mile hike was actually a short walk. I'm not sure why people come here. Depending on how you look at it, it's either the end of the world or its beginning. I assume some of them lost something along the way and thought they'd find it here. Others must have come here for the opposite reason, seeking to shed some old skin and return to wherever they came from, reborn. I came here for her, I admit. There was no question of not joining her. Yes, on the face of it, the idea did sound crazy. 3 weeks in the South Pole, tracking the last leg of Robert Scott's fatal journey from 1912. I have no idea where she got this sense of adventure from. Her mother's idea of an adventure is going to a new spa. As for me, I can't even say I like adventures. Never had much yearning for the unexpected. Life deals us surprising cards without our intervention, so why shuffle the deck? But I could never say no to Jeannie. When she wanted to buy a motorcycle at age 17, I put my foot down and said no. 2 weeks later, I was at the Yamaha dealership buying her an XS 400. Somehow, she convinced me that a big bike will make other drivers notice her better. That's for sure. Then there was the question of hiking to the Everest Base Camp. Why, I asked her after learning a bit about the immense physical requirements needed to ascend to the mother of all mountains, could she not simply fly there? She responded with a look that needed no elaboration and left me with a strong feeling of old age and irrelevance. But now I'm here. This is our second week, and I must admit that until 3 days ago, it was the most difficult, scary, beautiful, and magnificent thing I had ever done. Being here with my daughter only made the experience all that more emotional. I love her very much. I think back at all the challenges I had when I was younger. God, life seems so complex before you have children. But when Jeannie came to the world, everything became clear. I wasn't Norman Foster. I was Jeannie's dad. And now Jeannie's dad is dying. I'm not sure which came first, the frostbite or the altitude sickness. The doctor, before he froze to death 2 nights ago, confided in me that any of the two could kill me if the evacuation team doesn't arrive within 24 hours. They haven't, and I have mixed feelings about being given this extension to my life. I buried Jeannie 3 days ago. She was the first one. I found her covered in 3 feet of snow. The wind was so strong that when I woke up, everything was white. There were no tents to be found, no backpacks, no dogs, nothing. By sheer chance, the tarp that covered my tent remained intact, creating a kind of air mattress between the tent and the elements outside. I remember opening the tent zipper only to find a wall of dense snow in front of me. If you told me it could snow that much during such a short period of time, I would call you a lunatic. Now it's me who's losing my mind. The doctor helped me bury Jeannie and Thomas, our guide. It took us close to an hour to find them in the first place, then another 5 to carve out a pair of shallow graves. The doctor had signaled our HQ to rescue us, but judging from the condition of the radio, we were fooling ourselves to think anyone would have gotten our signal. If not for Emma back home, I'm not sure I would have wanted to return. How could I? What would I tell her? That I couldn't protect our little baby? That I managed to do it for 22 years, but have failed now? But now that burden has been taken off my shoulders, too. I will die here, most likely before the night falls. I look back at my handwriting and see it fading steadily. In my brain, air bubbles are starting to aggregate. Soon I will drown in my own fluid, unless I freeze before then. I ate one of the dogs today. I had already given up on life, but in a cynical triumph of body over mind, my own hunger mechanism forced me to seek food. Since all the packaged goods we had were buried under 6 feet of snow, all I could find was one of the dogs who somehow managed to be only partially covered with snow. It tasted like frozen chicken. If you read these lines, you've probably found our camp, or what's left of it. Do not feel bad about not arriving here earlier. There was not much you could have done, save for bringing back home a broken man with advanced gangrene in his 2 legs. Do not feel bad that you didn't make sure we had prepared better for this expedition. Thomas was the best guide in the world. But when God intervenes, even angels have to stand aside. I spent the better part of the last 48 hours trying to understand, to comprehend what had happened. I couldn't. There's simply no way to make sense out of such a horrific experience. My conclusion was that it did not happen for a reason. What reason could justify losing your own daughter? But I do know this. I do know that what you do now counts. Not the big things like which job you take, where you live, or even who you marry. What counts are the little things. That person on the street you wanted to stop by and talk to. That girl in the shop you wanted to ask out for a coffee. That friend you've grown distant from, yet did not dare phoning her to find out why. Those are the things that matter most. Those are the things you should pay attention to.